Doing a bit of testing in practice tool on a 100 armor target, right? I found out that Yuntal, Infinity Edge, Essence Reaver, and Collector. I tested Collector as well, right? I tested them at one item with nothing, right? I took runes that don't affect anything, doesn't affect any damage. And I found that Infinity Edge damage is exactly the same as Yuntal damage, right? Or was Yuntal a bit higher? It was either the same or Yuntal a bit higher. Because Yuntal has flat damage on crits. And Infinity Edge has critical strike damage. And critical strike damage scales with attack damage, which you don't have a lot in the early game, right? And on top of that, Yuntal is 400 gold cheaper than Infinity Edge. Cool, right? Good. So Yuntal much better first time than Infinity, guaranteed. Okay, now Essence Reaver. Essence Reaver is a bit less damage than Yuntal. A little bit, not much, very little. And it's cheaper 100 gold, better build path, gives unlimited mana for cheat. It's insane, right? It feels so good. It's a good feel-good item with a bit less damage. And then I tested Collector as well, which turns out has exactly the same DPS as Yuntal. One item. DPS is exactly the same, but Collector is 200 gold more expensive, and it has 0 scaling. Because if you go Yuntal and you buy Runan, which gives you more crit, you crit more often, so Yuntal does more damage. So if you go Collector Runan, you'll have less damage per basic attack than Yuntal, because this doesn't scale, and you just have an execute, which in my opinion is not even that good. It's not even that good. The execute doesn't mean much. You rarely use the execute anyway, right? So Collector, finally, we can 100% say Collector first on JINX is bad. Is worse than Yuntal. Guaranteed 100%. There's no discussion about it. It's not good. It's bad. Right? It's bad. Okay. And now, second item. Guaranteed we need to go Zeal item. Like there's no doubt about it. And Zeal item on JINX Runan. Okay? This you don't negotiate this. This is insane. Okay? We don't have to explain why. Okay? No, never. It's the best item, okay? That's it. Good. I'm hopefully we agree. Nice. And now for the third and fourth items. Okay. Yeah. Lord Dominic's is 600 gold less than Infinity. And I tested LDR third and Infinity Edge third. Infinity dealt a bit more damage to like 100 target, 200 armor target, right? But by this point, everybody has like 100 at least. And if they have a Zonia, if they're a Bruiser, if they're a tank, which there will be a ton of because tanks will be overpowered next split, LDR deals more damage to those targets for 600 less gold. So LDR third is just better overall. Just better, unless enemies have 5 squishes with no Zonia, no 0 armor. No armor boost, nothing. Then yeah, sure, Infinity is better. Is that gonna happen a lot? No. So for consistency's sake, LDR third, much nicer. You get it way sooner, more crit, get that armor pen going. The build path is very nice as a third item. I like this. Right? And another argument why Infinity fourth is better than any other item fourth is because the build path has like big beefy components, right? But in the early game you want small components that just power you up as you go. But when you buy Infinity you have to save up so much to buy something, and which makes you weaker at that time, you know? So Infinity Edge makes more sense late game as well because attack damage or stats mean less in the late game. Because if you have 100 AD and you buy 70 attack damage, that's a big increase from 100 to 170. But if you have 300 AD and you buy 70 attack damage, that's way less of an increase, right? So it's not a big deal if you stay on a lot of gold while waiting to have enough to buy Infinity Edge compared to just buying this and that and that and that and that, right? Okay, so highest DPS build, Yuntal, Boots, Runan, Lord Dominic's, Infinity, and then you buy something from here, last item, whatever. Bloodthirster default, okay, to keep it simple. Build I might go for is Essence Reaver, Boots, Runan, Lord Dominic's, Infinity, because better build path for Runan, removes all the limits I had ever on JINX. I always run out of mana on JINX, it's so bloody annoying, so annoying, especially when you got no biscuits anymore. It's so annoying. It's so bad. to just have mana issues on Jinx, because it just limits your damage output, no rockets, nothing, because with Jinx you stay in rockets most of the time, you never go minigun really, because you have to stay away from all the danger and bullshit that's in the game. You stay max range and deal with that easier, right? It's way, way nicer. And you lose a bit of damage compared to Yuntal, but it's cheaper, build path much better, remove limitations, and Yuntal gets outscaled anyway late game. It doesn't, that 80 attack damage, which is flat, doesn't matter as much late game. And I think the mana you get in return makes up for it. And another reason why Essence Reaver is really good is because if you look at the runes, right? If you go Essence Reaver, you don't have to take Presence of Mind. This is not needed anymore. Which means Absolute Life becomes available, or Triumph if you want it. But I think Absolute Life is better for ADCs. You farm mid game, let's say mid game you get hit by a Seraph Q randomly. Well, you just farm a couple waves, you're full HP again, you don't have to recall. This is all good. And this allows you to not take Bloodline because you have healing from here. And this gives Alacrity, which means more attack speed, which means more damage for little tempo. So, all in all, I would say these two builds, if I can find items, right? If you go Yuntal or you go Essence Reaver, they are both correct. Collector is not correct, Infinity First is not correct. It's either Yuntal or Essence Reaver first on Jinx. And personally, I think I'm going to go Essence Reaver because when you think about this, they nerfed the haste on the item. Jinx doesn't really use haste that effectively. In return, you just have good stats and unlimited mana, which is cool. Right? So, that's it. This is... It's finally settled. I finally know what to build next split. And hopefully you guys know too now. Good. It's finally... after 2 hours, 3 hours almost, I finally know what to build next split. Okay, it took a while. So personally, I will go Essence Reaver. I will be Essence Reaver Runan guy on Jinx. Unless things change until this goes live. But I don't think they will change much. But if anything changes, I'll let you know. Good. Guys, any questions? Anybody? Does it make sense, guys? Did I have any flaw in my logic? Did I say something that doesn't make sense, guys? Tell me. I want to know. Is anything that I said make no sense? Anything? For me, makes total sense, okay? Like, I just want to know. I want to make sure I provide good information, no misinformation. And for example, somebody asked me about Collector, right? I tested Collector as well. And it makes sense, really good logic why this doesn't deal more damage than Yuntal. Complete logic, and it's more expensive as well, right? The same AD. Okay. And one thing we should clarify is LDR versus Mortar Reminder, might as well, right? If you look at the stats here, 35 AD on both. Mortar Reminder is 200 gold more expensive, and it has 5% less armor pen. So it costs 5% armor pen and 200 gold to buy anti-heal, which in my book is not worth it because everybody's going to buy more armor. And it's not really your job anymore to get anti-heal on ADC. Somebody should get it. Support your mid, your jungler, your top, whatever, right? So I will go Lord Dominic's every single game. I will not buy Mortal Reminder ever. Unless they have Zac, Aatrox, and Vladimir in the same team, then I might consider it. Okay? Then maybe I'll consider it. But until then, I'll go for more damage because that's what I do. That's my job. And that's my job. My job is to deal damage, and I want damage. Okay? That's what I'll do. And again, last item, you just go Bloodthirst by default. GA if they have a ton of assassins. Mo if they have mages and stuff, right? You can do that. You can even buy like a Hex Drinker before Infinity if you want, if it's really bad. That's also, you can always... I'm just talking about like max damage-ish builds. You can always adapt based on the game. If enemies have 4, 3 AP, whatever, right? You need MR. Buy Hex Drinker. It's going to be good for you. Enemies have 2 or 3 assassins. Buy that GA before Infinity Edge. That's fine. You can do that. It's okay. If they have Trinda Mir, you don't need Infinity Edge for Trinda. You don't need more damage. You need to buy GA so you don't die. Right? Probably swap Yuntal for SSA later. No, because Jinx has late game mana issues. Like, if you have an inhibitor down, you use rockets to clear that minion, the minion wave every time, you're gonna have insane mana issues on Jinx. It happens all the time right now on me. I'm behind in a game, we are under turrets in base constantly, I have no mana ever. It's so annoying. After Mortar Reminder is more damage and 9% of the time, especially on AoE champions like Jinx. Is it, considering LDR costs 300 less gold, and it has 5% armor pen. The current patch that's on live right now, sure, I agree. Sure, cool. Right, more than MRP. But next patch, I don't think so. That 5% armor pen means more than you think. And 200 gold cheaper. Keep in mind, right? Oh, sorry. No, don't worry. It's good. Guys, come with arguments. Come with counter arguments to my logic. I want that. Right? Because I want to find any mistakes I'm making. But I don't think I made any mistakes in my reasoning. I think this is very logical, right? I think this makes a lot of sense. Okay? Cool. Yeah, and another thing I want to talk about is Shieldbow. I never mentioned Shieldbow. This is the last item I never talked about. The last crit item you don't really talk about, right? By the way, Stormrazor is not in the game. Ignore this. Collector we talked about. The other Zeal items we don't talk about. If you want Fandom, go for it. But JINX Runan is crazy, crazy. Right? Now let's talk about Shieldbow. 55 AD, 3000 gold. In crit. Right? Where do you even buy it? If you start Essence Reaver on Yuntal, you have to buy Runan. You have to buy LDR or Armor Pen, Mortal Reminder. And you have to buy Infinity Edge. It's like not buying Rabadon, right? Where do you even slot this? This would only be good on like Samira first item maybe. But then she kind of has Collector. Samira kind of wants Collector maybe, right? So it's like, where do we buy Shieldbow? I don't know. Rather than buying Shieldbow, I'd rather just buy a GA or Maw or Bloodthirster before I finish my Infinity Edge. And then buy Infinity Edge last. Because if I need Shieldbow, it means I need defensive. So I'm gonna say screw damage for now. Build one of these, then finish my build with Infinity. Right? And I don't think you can replace Shieldbow with anything. And I don't think you should go Shieldbow if you have 100% crit chance already. These items are much better. Right, guys? So when do we build Shieldbow? I don't think we ever build Shieldbow. And the shield got nerfed big time as well, which is sad. Like, I don't really see it. If any of us have full assassins, I feel like you should still buy Armor Pen because everybody has at least 100 armor late game, right? This is huge. But maybe if any of us have legit no frontline, and you really need to survive, you struggle, maybe you skip LDR or you skip Infinity Edge and you buy Shieldbow and then you buy GA as well. Maybe, but personally I don't think I will ever buy Shieldbow. I don't see it. I just don't see it personally. Right? That's my opinion here. They complain ADCs don't build defensive items, but they nerfed them to the ground for ranged characters. True, Shieldbow got nerfed, right? Of course, we're not going to buy it if he's bad, and Jay is better. Right? Any Kalista Varus build ideas on hit feels like shit right now? I have no clue yet. I did not get into on hit. I will only get into crit because this is what I do for JINX. I let other people cook better than me when it comes to on hit items. I don't have experience with on hit items. I don't even know the changes that much. Personally, I stick with crit. That's my expertise, especially crit for JINX, right? But let's say I want to play Xayah, right? Xayah is a good example of a champion I play as well, quite a lot sometimes. And that builds with crit. Xayah will just go Essence Reaver into Navari, into Lord Dominic's, into Infinity Edge. So you see a pattern is very similar to JINX. Because crit ADCs all build kind of similarly, right? Very similar. Either Essence Reaver or Yuntar first, Zeal item, Armor Pen, Infinity. That's going to be the standard crit build in the game right now. Exception happen. Samira. Maybe Samira wants Shieldbow. Maybe Samira wants Collector for the kill resets. Maybe, right? Yeah, it's a maybe. But that's not my expertise. Those champions are not my expertise. JINX is my area of expertise, right? When do you recommend building Yuntal? I think every game. I recommend building Yuntal with presence of mind. But if you're like me and you use your abilities a lot, your chompers like crazy, you don't want to be limited on mana, I recommend Essence Reaver with Absorb Life and don't buy Yuntal. Right? And if you want better early game, Essence Reaver is better early game, better build path, way nicer to build. And another thing I noticed while playing with both items right now on PBE, if you buy a BF sword from Yuntal, and then let's say you buy a longsword, right? You don't two-shot the minion wave. And you have no choice, because that's the only AD components you have here, right? But if you buy Essence Reaver, you buy BF sword, you can buy 2 longswords. And 60 attack damage is if enough to use rockets on the back wave and two-shot the caster minions, right? So Essence Reaver is the feel-good item that removes all the limitation you have. on the champion, right? That's how it goes. So personally, I think I'll recommend this. Actually, I will recommend both builds. I'll explain the differences between them to people. And I think both builds are viable depending on our playstyle. Personally, I'm a maniac and I don't want to have limits. It's that simple. I think it makes sense, right? So if I'm going Yuntal, Essence Reaver? Not, sorry. Essence... I'm going Yuntal, we go Little Tempo, Presence of Mind, Alacrity, Cut Down, and secondary, I'm leaning towards Absolute Focus, Gathering Storm. Right? We are not really gonna test secondaries. I think secondaries, this could work. This could work, many things could work. Personally, I think I will just stick with damage and scaling. Personally, I think that's what I'll do, honestly. Right? And another argument why Essence Reaver might be the play is because you might not need Presence of Mind, so you take Absorb Life, so you're full HP more often, so Absolute Focus does more damage overall. Another good argument, right? So I'm leaning a lot towards Essence Reaver, because I always liked Essence Reaver. And I never, like, when I tested DPS here as well, Essence Reaver gives haste. I never talked about it. I only tested auto-attack DPS. But if you have Essence Reaver unlimited abilities and haste, you can use W and ultimate more often, which in turn, in reality, is more DPS. So it's like, you see how complicated the game is? But this is, we've got to do a bit of theory crafting, because otherwise you're not going to know how to play next split. And I think I'm starting to crack the shell. I think it's either Yuntal or Essence Reaver, and we are still going to see which one is better after playing a couple of games. I think we are finally starting to understand how this works. And let's make the page for split 3 Essence Reaver. Okay. So no Essence Reaver means we take Absorb Life. I don't think Triumph is better. I don't like Triumph. I think Absorb Life is just better in mid game. No Bloodline, Alacrity, and Cut Down. Secondary the same, right? This is what we're gonna go for. Okay. You also get E more often, true. True, and you don't have to have mana. You don't need mana. Okay. I really like that we are coming to a conclusion already. I thought I was gonna spend more time thinking about this, but not really, apparently.